Well, I know it's setting a good example for us. Yeah. It's a holiday weekend. And what does that mean? Okay, so I need you all to come up with a date in the very near future because I don't want to drag this out.
I am not here.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, you have to go.
But other than that, I'm supposed to start a trial, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure they will give me some time to come down and do what I need to do.
What about the 12th? Which is a Tuesday. Is it good?
It looks good for me.
You have to check with your surveys.
Texas.
That's all.
7 through 14?
Yes, sir.
So we have to work out stipulations of what he said. He interviews. So this is what we have. We have the video of it. We have a transcript produced of the video. And we have his written summary of what's in it. So you have if we can work out stipulation on what needs to come in from that, or if we can just bring in the testimony.
Let's plan for the 12th, and then we'll reassess if we need to, if you all can't stipulate to whatever, till Mr. Guy, then we'll have to look at another day. But let's try to get
Yes, ma'am.
and we can start at 9:30 on the 12th?
Yes,
Yes, 9:30. We'll reserve 1:30 if we need it. So let's do 9:30 on the 12th. Okay, wonderful. Let's do it. Let's try to get these wrapped up very quickly. Okay, we're back on the record. The witness, Mr. Young.
Yeah, just confirm if the sheet will come in on July 12th. If not, let me know, but we'll work it out today.
Mr. Young, you are still under oath. That means you still must tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Is that understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We're ready for the cross-examination by Mr. Kessel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Young, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, Mr. Young, I represent your uncle, Mr. Walker, okay?
Okay.
And I'm going to ask some questions, and if at any time I'm not clear or you don't understand, let me know and I'll ask it a different way, okay?
All right.
All right. Now, I'm going to be very brief, Mr. Young. You said that when you first saw this young man in the vehicle, he did not appear as though he'd been injured. Is that correct?
Right.
And at that time, the first time you said you did see his hands tied up. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. But you did not see who tied his hands up. Is that correct?
Right.
All right. And when you told, did you tell your uncle or did you tell someone else to untie him?
My uncle.
All right. And when you said to untie him, your uncle in fact untied him. Is that correct?
Yes.
And from there, you were in the vehicle and you went to drop off Tamara. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And from there, you went to the casino. Is that correct?
Yes.
And during that time, when Mr. Surma asked, you said you did not see this young man get assaulted in any way. Is that correct?
No, I never seen him get assaulted.
And when you got out of the vehicle, you and Mr. Coleman, you both got out of the vehicle, correct? You and Ernest?
No, it was just me.
You just got out of the casino.
Right.
Thank you. I apologize. Thanks for correcting me. And about a half hour later, you saw yourself on that video get picked back up by Mr. Walker and Ms. Roberts. Ms. Roberts, correct?
Right.
Right. And when you saw them again, you said the young man was with them, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, it did not appear, I believe you testified earlier, that he had been assaulted in any way. Is that correct?
No, he haven't been assaulted at all.
He was visibly upset,
because he wanted
Correct?
to go home, yes.
But it did not appear to you as he'd been assaulted or beaten or anything like that, correct?
No.
When, I'm going to hop back in time for a minute, when you saw Mr. Walker and Ms. Roberts pull up with the little boy, you said that a window was missing from their vehicle. Do you remember that?
Yes.
What do you mean when you say you saw a window missing?
There was no window in there.
Was there a window when you'd seen the vehicle earlier?
Earlier, yeah, they had a window in there.
Okay. And was the window rolled down or it was just gone completely?
No, it was gone completely.
Okay. And you never saw that window reappear? You never saw the window up at any other point that night, is that correct?
No, yes.
I have nothing else, Judge. Thank you.
Hey, Ms. Diallo.
Good afternoon, Mr. Young.
Good afternoon.
You got to speak up, please, okay?
Good afternoon.
I appreciate that. I'm going to ask you some questions. I represent Ms. Roberts, okay?
All
If
right.
you do not understand something I ask you, please let me know, and I'll do my best to clear it up.
Okay.
If you give me an answer, I'm going to assume that you understood the question. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Now, are you the person that also known as Pooh Man?
Yes.
And when we say Pooh Man, it's P-O-O-H-M-A-N, correct?
Yes.
And Gregory Walker is your uncle, correct?
He's my first cousin. I just
Oh, your
saw
cousin,
him.
I'm sorry. He's your cousin, correct?
Yes.
All right, now, when you were talking earlier, and the prosecutor asked you a question about hostage, just so we're clear, you told Gregory, you were talking to Gregory about this young man being held hostage, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and as a matter of fact, that's what you testified to under oath in the prosecutor's office June 4th, 2016, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And after you had this conversation with Gregory Walker about him holding the little boy hostage, that's when you told him to untie his hands, correct?
Yes.
Right. And at that point in time, that's when Gregory Walker untied his hands, correct?
Yes.
Not Lillian Roberts, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, when all of this starts off, it was your understanding by talking to Gregory Walker that the little boy had taken his money, correct?
I never talked to Greg.
Okay, but some kind of way, you knew that the little boy had allegedly taken Gregory Walker's money, correct?
I didn't know he took his money
Well, how do you know about the $70?
because she told me.
That he took the
Lillian,
money?
right. Lillian said Greg said the little boy
Oh, Greg.
stashed his money. That's
Okay.
how I know.
Okay, so Lillian said that Greg said that the little boy snatched his money.
Right.
Okay, all right. And then, were you present when anybody took off a belt and beat the boy?
No, nobody beat him.
Did you take off your belt, sir, and hit this boy around the side and back area with a belt?
I never had a belt.
Is that a yes or a no?
No, I never had a belt.
Okay. That's not my question. Did you,
No.
okay, hold on, hit that child with a belt?
No.
Okay. All right. And were you present when, I guess Tamara, your cousin, was also present?
Yes.
So at some point in time, you and Tamara are present together,
Right.
and while the young boy is in the car, correct?
Yes.
And you do not see Miss Roberts hitting this young boy at all, do you?
No, she never laid hands on him.
Okay. Just so we're clear, you got to speak up. You said Miss Roberts never laid hands on the little boy, correct?
No, she never put her hands on him.
Okay. As a matter of fact, when you were directing your questions about this young boy, you directed your questions to Mr. Walker, correct?
About what question?
Whatever. About the little boy, the situation, you
Yeah.
gave the money,
Yes.
all that goes to Mr. Walker, correct?
Yes.
And so we're clear, Gregory Walker, correct?
Right.
Okay. Just one second. And when this all starts off, you're at a home on Manistee Street, correct?
Right.
Gregory was at that home at some point in time, correct?
Right.
Gregory leaves that home by himself, correct?
Yes, he did.
And when he leaves the home, Miss Roberts is still in the house with you guys, correct?
Right.
Everybody's having a good time, correct?
Right.
Was there drinking going on?
Yes.
Okay. So drinking, having a good time. Is
Right.
that a yes?
Yes.
And the person that comes and kind of disperses the good time would be Gregory Walker, correct?
Yes.
All right, now another question.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you. Mr. Young, the night that we're speaking about, you said that you saw Ernest Coleman driving the black Impala, right?
Yes.
The only time you saw him driving the black Impala was from the Manistee address to Greek Casino, correct?
Yes.
And once everybody arrived at the casino, Lillian Roberts told Ernest Coleman to get out of the driver's seat and that she was going to drive, correct?
Yes.
And then you saw that happen, right?
Right.
And when you've seen the black Impala before, it was Lillian Roberts who was driving it, right?
Right.
That night was the only time that you ever saw Ernest Coleman driving the black Impala, right?
Yes.
During the time from the point that the Impala left Manistee to the point that it arrived at the casino, did you hear Ernest Coleman say anything at all in the car?
No, he never said anything to the boys or nothing.
Did you hear Gregory Walker say anything to Ernest Coleman while he was driving between Manistee and the casino?
No, they was just drinking. That was it.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
They
what
were
you said.
just,
I said no, they was just drinking. That was it.
when you say drinking, you mean alcohol.
Right.
Right. So, Ernest Coleman was drinking alcohol, right?
A little bit, not a lot.
Okay. Do you know what he was drinking?
No, I don't.
You don't know if it was beer, wine, liquor?
I don't know what he was drinking. He had it when he got in the car, so I don't know.
Okay. You don't know how much he'd had to drink? You're
No.
shaking your head.
No.
No. All right. So, while Mr. Coleman is driving from Manistee to the casino, you heard no conversation between Lillian Roberts and Ernest Coleman, correct?
No, they never said anything to each other.
Okay. And once Ernest Coleman switched the driver at the casino, you never saw him again for the rest of the night, right?
No, I never saw him the rest of the night.
That was the last time you saw him was at the Greek casino, right?
Right, because I asked him.
No, I'm just asking you if you saw him. That's
No.
all. And you said no, right?
Right.
You didn't see Ernest Coleman drive the black Impala to the Manistee address, did you?
No.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you.
Hey, did he redirect?
Did you ever see any of the stories in the news about what had happened?
Yes.
Right. Were you able to identify any of the people from video that you saw in the news? Did you recognize anyone when you looked at the footage the news channels were displaying?
Yeah.
I'm going to approach Exhibit 2. Do you recognize the person that's shown?
Defendant, attorney, please, this.
Sure, it's the one.
We've seen all the exhibits.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's Uncle Greg. Yes, that's Uncle Greg.
And what does he have in his hand in that picture?
A gun.
Did you see him
I'm
with
sorry, I didn't hear.
A gun.
I still didn't hear it.
A gun.
A gun.
Other than I know you're just looking at this picture and seeing him with the gun. Did you see him with that gun at all during the night that you were in his presence, either at the house on Manistee or in the car?
No.
You had mentioned that when you stopped at the house on Manistee at one point, you got out to use the bathroom.
Yes.
Was there ever a time that the little boy was allowed to use the bathroom?
Not that I know of.
Was there ever a time when Gregory had to go use the bathroom that you were around for?
No.
Was there ever a time when Gregory left and left the little boy alone or with other people?
No.
Thank you, sir. No other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Young. You are excused. The deputies will tell him how to leave the courtroom. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge, can we keep Mr. Young here just for another moment? There's a witness issue, and I'd like to ask Mr. Young a couple questions about that. A witness we're having a hard time locating to serve. Do you want that to be part of the record now, or should we do that?
Well,
I'm
you're
gonna
about to lose Mr. Young, so you want to ask him the information. It doesn't have to be a part of the record, but certainly get the information you need.
I'd like to do it as part of the record so the court can hear it, because I may be coming to court for a witness detainer on a particular witness, and it would be relevant to that.
Okay. Is it a series of questions? Can he answer from there, or
I
we
think
need to
so.
go back?
I think so.
Okay. Mr. Young, can you project your voice just for a moment so that we can get you out of here, okay? Just a few questions that need to be answered. If we can't hear you, we'll have him come back to the witness stand and start all over. Go ahead. Ms. Sturma.
So, Mr. Young, at some point, a police officer came to your house and gave you a piece of paper, a subpoena, that told you you had to be in court, right?
Right.
And you have a family member named Tamara Grady.
Right.
What's your relation to her? Did the police officers also tell you that we're also looking for Tamara?
Yeah.
Did they ask you for help or where she might be?
I seen her one time, and I was supposed to pick her up, but she took off on me, and I never seen her again.
Have you talked about the fact that you were coming to court with Tamara?
I never talked to her after she took off. She didn't even give me a chance to talk to her about anything.
Okay, prior to her taking off, did she tell you anything about coming to court? Is she coming? Is she not coming? Is she avoiding the police?
How could you tell me anything? I didn't.
No, answer the question. Did she tell you that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
So you're telling us that you've never talked to her about coming to court at all?
No. Never talked to her about that.
Did someone else tell you that Tamara is not coming to court?
Her cousin.
Which cousin was that?
Woody is her cousin.
What's Willie's last name?
I don't know her name.
So Willie told you that Tamara said she wasn't coming to court?
She said she's not coming.
Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Okay, certainly no questions from the council. Okay, thank you. All right, people have one more civilian witness?
We do.
Okay, your next witness?
Mr. Taylor, Johnny Taylor.
Mr. Taylor.
Johnny.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Please pull the microphone in as closely as possible. Speak directly into it so that I'm able to hear everything that you're saying today, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may proceed, Mr. Sermon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Would you please tell us your full first and last name?
Johnny Ernest Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, back in June, on June the 2nd, did you encounter a person named Gregory Walker and Lillian Roberts?
Yes, sir.
Did you see those two people here in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Could you tell the judge where they're sitting and what they're wearing, please?
Right here.
Lillian's in the middle and Gregory is to the end here.
Your Honor, the witness is pointing towards and describing the seating position of Defendant 2, Lillian Roberts, and Defendant 1, Gregory Walker.
Okay, you may continue.
When you met with them, what were the circumstances? First, where was it that you met with them?
I met with him on Traverse at my residence.
Okay. Do you do some type of work, or do you have a trade that you do at or near your residence?
I do auto mechanic,
Okay. Do you work just mechanical repairs or body work?
body mechanic, just in general car.
What did they say when they came to you?
They had a window that was shot out and wanted the glass put in the door repair.
Okay. Were they both present when they were describing the repairs they needed?
Yes, they reported. Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you able to repair that auto glass there for them?
Yeah.
Which window of the car did you repair?
The driver's window,
On the front or rear?
the front driver's door.
That was a silly question, wasn't it? I'm sorry. The driver's window should have been explanatory. What else? What else did you repair?
Repaired the bullet hole that was right up on over the door handle, and we changed the back door later that day. We changed the back door.
Okay, why was there a delay in changing the back door?
We had they went to the junkyard and got a door.
Did they leave together to go to the junkyard?
Yes, they did.
Did they arrive together from the junkyard with the door?
Yes, they did.
Was there anyone else with them in that car when you made those repairs?
No, when I was making the repairs, it was them.
Just them. Do you recall what time of day that was when they first came to your home on June 2nd?
It was early in the morning when we repaired the door, I mean the glass in the door. The driver door glass. It was early.
Okay, so to some people, early might mean 5, 6, 7 a.m.?
Yeah, it's about 8, 9 up in there.
8 or 9 a.m.?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir. I had no other questions for the witness, Your Honor.
Okay, cross-examination.
Your Honor, I have no questions for this witness. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Diallo.
And that was June 2nd, correct, young man?
The first, second up in there.
Okay. And you repaired the vehicle, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was the extent of everything that you had to do with this particular matter?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I don't have enough questions for you.
Okay, Mr. Daly.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. You are excused. The deputy will tell you how to leave the courtroom.
No. Well, no, I had told the court I had one more brief police witness.
No.
There may have...
Mr. Taylor, you're getting your attention. Okay.
So when we were telling which police officers could stay and which could leave, we may have sent the wrong one away to check.
Well, how quickly can the wrong one make it back to the right place?
They'll be back quickly. Less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. Okay. And you said that was a brief witness. Is that correct?
Yes.
And our last witness for the day? Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay, so let's place the housekeeping matters on the record. It was brought to my attention that during a sidebar with all of the attorneys, that the people still have at least 4 more witnesses that they need to place on the record. I believe it's either 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's going to be the different witnesses that interviewed Mr. Coleman and Ms. Roberts, and then there's one probation agent that took a brief statement from Mr. Coleman.
Okay. And the people indicated during the sidebar that those, that examination...
I don't mean to interrupt, Judge. I misspoke. The probation officer didn't take a statement from Mr. Coleman. It was Mr. Walker.
Okay, thank you. And so the people indicated that the examination may be a little lengthy with respect to the remaining witnesses. So I indicated that I would end today with the final witness, brief witness that the people would call on today, a police officer, and then we'd set another date for the remaining witnesses. During the sidebar, it was determined that the best date for us to come back would be July 12th at 9:30 a.m. and we'll also reserve 1:30 p.m. so that we are able to complete this examination on July 12th. Is there anything else that the people need to add to the record?
The medical examiner I had a discussion with today has told me that their final report will likely be signed off on and ready to be released by tomorrow. They may be able to email it to me by early tomorrow afternoon, and I'll provide it to all 3 lawyers as soon as I get it. I don't expect to call the medical examiner, but I want to wait and see what's in the report before I determine how we're going to admit that evidence. We can do that on the 12th.
Okay, thank you.
I've also discussed with Mr. Daly, in particular, because it involves him mostly, one of our police officers that took statements is going to be out of state on July 12th. If we can't come to a stipulation about how we'll admit that testimony, we may be asking the court to return on July 15th to put on it, and his officer, Kareem Mason, that we'd be waiting for.
And will he be a brief witness?
No, I don't think he'd be brief. If we can't work out a stipulation, he might have some extensive testimony about an interview that he did.
Okay, well, I'm certain at the parties, Mr. Daly, that you all will work to see if there are any stipulations, and if not, of course, we'll have to reserve a third date to come back just for purposes of that particular witness. Okay, anything else to be added to the record by the people?
No.
Mr. Kessel?
Nothing else, Judge, thank you.
Judge, I would
Yeah.
ask that if there are any other investigative subpoenas that, as of right now, we do not have in our possession, that the prosecutor has, that the court orders that these investigative subpoenas be turned over before the next date so that we can adequately prepare for this exam.
I'm happy to do that. I will send them through email the way I've been handing over all the discovery. I just ask one, if one of the defense lawyers could please do a written motion to request that, or a brief motion so that I can comply with the statute and hand it over.
Very brief, and if people could prepare the order for my signature, because I have ordered the release of the investigative.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Daly, anything else you need to add to the record?
No, thank you.
Okay, so we have all of our housekeeping matters out of the way. Hopefully now your witness will be here in less than 3 minutes, and we'll be ready to go back on the record.
Oh, you need to do that now. Sure. What's his
We'll worry about that later.
Do that later?
Yes, please.
Well, I want to...
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You know I'm not.
I know. What? Yes, please. Yes. Confirm with Mason when he comes back on the last name and make sure that
Which officers?
Okay.
Turnover.
Here, these are what was supposed to be attached. Yeah, Judge, there's a correction I need to make for on the information that we just noticed this as we were discussing other possible stipulations. Each of the defendant Roberts there was supposed to be a habitual fourth offense notice attached to her.
Give me the case number that you're referencing to. This is
The case that
603, ending in 603.
is that the complaint that has all three defendants on it?
Yes.
Okay. And at the end of this, I'm going to be asking the court to consolidate this all together.
Yes, wonderful.
But so we can, since all three defendants are on complaints that ends in 6-3, I want to put counsel on notice that I'll be filing an amended information that reflects Lillian Roberts should be charged as a habitual offender, fourth offense notice. I'm just going to give Ms. Diallo the list of the prior offenses. And Mr. Walker will also be charged as a habitual offender, fourth offense. And I'll give that to Mr. Kessel. And then Mr. Coleman will be charged as habitual third. I'll give that to Mr. Daly. I'm going to need those back, though. Yeah, information file.
On behalf of Ms. Roberts, acknowledge receipt.
Okay, thank you.
And the same with respect to Mr. Walker, Judge.
And with respect to Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll have that amended information prepared before the next time we're in front of you.
Thank you, Counsel.
What number is Turner?
Point
The
nine.
witness has arrived? Okay, wonderful.
Stephen with a V. Turner, T-U-R-E.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Tell the judge your full first and last name, please.
My name is Stephen Turner.
What's your current occupation?
I'm a detective with the Detroit Police Department.
Detective Turner, did you play some role in the investigation of a case involving a missing 13-year-old boy that had gone missing at the end of May in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
At some point during your investigation, did you receive information about where you should look for the child or the child's remains?
Yes.
Could you tell us the date and the approximate time of when you received that information?
It was June 2nd. It was approximately, if I can refer to my report, I believe it was like 8:45, 8:40.
Okay. Would that be in the morning or the evening?
It'd be in the morning. It's actually 8:24.
At about 8:24 in the morning of June 2nd, after you learned this information, where did you go?
I went to Van Dyke in Harper.
What's at is there anything at that location?
There's a couple of buildings there. There's a liquor store and a couple other vacant buildings, I think, right in that area.
Okay, what was your reason for going to Van Dyke and Harper?
I received information that the child could be at one of those vacant lots there.
Okay. Did you go by yourself or with other police officers?
I was by myself, but there was numerous officers in other cars headed that way.
All right. In all, did you recall how many officers were participating in that search at the time?
It must have been approximately at least 20 of us.
And what did you do? Where did you walk? Where did you look to look for this child?
We were at a different location, just north of. It was at Van Dyke and Harper, just north of Harper on it'd be the east side. As a vacant lot. We were first up there, the whole group. I decided to go down back to Van Dyke and Harper. It would be on the west side of Van Dyke, north side of the 94 Service Drive right there. There's several vacant lots there. I went over there.
What did you find?
I found a vacant field. I found several vacant fields. I found the victim. I found the teenage victim laying in the grass on his back in the field.
Was he dressed?
Yes.
Do you recall how he was dressed or what he was wearing?
He had a light gray t-shirt. He had dark gray sweatpants. He had black gym shoes with purple stripes on them.
Just from observing the condition of his body, could you determine or could you do anything to determine whether he was dead or alive at the time you first laid eyes on him?
When I looked at him, I know he was already gone. I felt on his right arm up here to see if he was still had a pulse or anything, or he was already cold to the touch.
Did you notify anybody about what you had found at that time?
I notified my direct supervisor, Sergeant Jonathan Purnell.
Okay. And you had told us that you first arrived there, I think you said 8:24 a.m. Can you approximate how much time you spent searching in order to give us a time when you actually found the body?
I spent probably 40 minutes searching for him.
Judge, I've discussed with all three defense counsel. They would agree, for the purpose of the preliminary exam, that there's a stipulation that the remains of the child that Sergeant Turner discovered, or Detective Turner discovered, were the remains of Deontae Mitchell, and that he'll be later. The court will have testimony about the post-mortem exam that was conducted on Mr. Mitchell's remains.
That is correct, Your Honor, for the purposes of exam only.
Thank you.
On behalf of Ms. Roberts, that is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no other questions for Detective Turner.
Okay, cross-examination, Mr. Kessel,
I have nothing for the detective, thank you, Judge.
Ms. Fiallo,
Nothing, Judge.
and Mr. Daly.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, then there's no redirect, and you are excused, Detective Turner.
Thank you, Young.
That's all the witnesses we have to the court today.
The court is adjourned to July 12th at 9:30 a.m. and at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.